There's a story about the philosopher Epictetus, the man whose teachings shaped everything Marcus Aurelius would later write in his own journal. Epictetus was born a slave. His leg was broken by his master. Some accounts say deliberately, just to test him. He owned nothing. He controlled nothing about his circumstances, and yet he became one of the calmest, most respected teachers in the ancient world. How does a man with no power over his own body become a symbol of inner freedom? Because he discovered something most of us never fully accept. Almost everything that disturbs us in life falls into one of two categories: things we control and things we don't. And nearly all our suffering comes from confusing the two. This is the single idea that Marcus Aurelius returned to more than any other in Meditations. The Stoics called it the Dichotomy of Control. And once you actually understand it, not just know the words, but feel it, it quietly changes how you carry every problem in your life. Epictetus opened his most famous work with this line: "Some things are up to us, and some are not." That's it. That's the whole idea, in its simplest form. But let's actually break down what falls into each side, because most people get this wrong. Up to us, fully within our control, our judgments, our choices, our effort, our values, how we respond to what happens to us. Not up to us, outside our control, our body's health, our reputation, other people's opinions, the past, the future, outcomes, even outcomes we worked hard for. Notice something uncomfortable here. Most of what we spend our mental energy on, being liked, being seen as successful, controlling how a relationship turns out, guaranteeing a good result at work, falls into the second category. Things we don't actually control. We think we control our reputation. We don't. We only control our actions. How people interpret those actions is theirs. We think we control the outcome of a job interview. We don't. We only control our preparation and how we show up. We think we control whether someone loves us back. We don't. We only control how honestly and fully we show up in that relationship. This isn't pessimism. It's precision. And precision is where peace begins. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that sounds almost too simple. Confine yourself to the present. But he needed to write that because, like all of us, his mind kept drifting into territory that wasn't his to control. Other people's judgments of him as emperor, the outcome of wars, whether his legacy would be remembered kindly. Here's the mechanism of suffering, stripped down. Every time you place your peace of mind on something outside your control, you hand over your emotional stability to something you cannot guarantee. And when it doesn't go your way, which eventually, some of the time, it won't, you feel like you failed. But you didn't fail. You just misplaced your effort on the wrong side of the line. Think about the last time you felt truly anxious about something. Chances are, if you traced it back, you'll find it wasn't really about the event itself. It was about an outcome you couldn't guarantee. Will they say yes? Will I get the job? Will they still respect me after this? The anxiety isn't a character flaw. It's just your mind trying to control the uncontrollable, reaching for a handle that was never there to begin with. And here's the quieter cost. While you're busy gripping at things outside your control, you're neglecting the one thing that actually is yours: your effort, your response, your next action. Overthinking and anxiety are expensive. They spend energy on the wrong side of the ledger. Here's what this looks like in an ordinary week. Say you're waiting to hear back about a job you interviewed for. You check your email 6 times a day. You replay answers you gave, wondering if one sounded weak. You imagine the rejection email before it's even been written. None of that changes the decision sitting on someone else's desk right now. The interview is over, that part is done, and it was yours. The decision itself was never yours. It belongs entirely to people you've never met, weighing factors you can't see. Every hour spent refreshing your inbox is an hour spent trying to operate a lever that was never connected to anything. This is what Epictetus meant when he said that most turmoil doesn't come from things themselves, but from our opinions about them. The waiting isn't the problem. The story you tell yourself while waiting. I probably failed. They've forgotten about me. I ruined it. That's the problem. And it's entirely self-authored. This isn't just a mindset shift you decide once. It's a practice. The same way Marcus practiced it, daily, imperfectly, for years. Here's how to actually use it. Step 1. Do the split. Out loud if you have to. When something is bothering you, physically separate it into 2 columns. What part of this is within my control? What part isn't? Say you're worried about a presentation tomorrow. Within your control, how well you prepare tonight, how clearly you explain your points, your tone and body language. Outside your control, how the audience reacts, whether they ask a hard question you can't answer, whether your manager is impressed. Once you see it laid out, something shifts. You stop trying to control the audience's reaction. An impossible task, and you put all your energy into preparation, the only part that was ever yours. Step 2. Redirect the energy. Don't just release it. This is where people get the Stoic idea half right. It's not don't care about outcomes. It's put your full effort into what's yours and release your grip on the rest. Epictetus didn't tell his students to stop trying. He told them to try fully, and then let go of the result, because clinging to a guaranteed outcome was never within their power anyway. So when you catch yourself spiraling about an outcome, ask, is there still action I can take here? If yes, take it. That's where your energy belongs. If no, the spiraling isn't preparation anymore. It's just weight you're carrying for nothing. Step 3. Practice with small things first. Don't start this practice with your biggest fear. Start small. Traffic. A delayed reply. Weather ruining your plans. Each time something outside your control frustrates you, quietly name it. Not up to me. Just naming it correctly, calmly, builds the muscle for when it matters more. Marcus did this constantly in his journal, reminding himself in small daily frustrations what was and wasn't his to control. By the time a real crisis came, a betrayal, a war, a death, the muscle was already built. Step 4. Apply it to people, not just events. This is the hardest version of the practice because it feels almost unnatural. We want to control how people see us. We want to control whether they stay, whether they approve, whether they change. But another person's opinion of you, their choices, their growth, their timing, none of it is up to you. You can be honest. You can be kind. You can show up fully. That's the whole of your part. What they do with it belongs to them. Marcus wrote about this often, especially about people who wronged him. He didn't waste pages demanding they change. He reminded himself again and again that expecting people to act against their own nature was its own kind of madness, like being upset that a fig tree produces figs. His only real task was deciding how he would respond, not rewriting who someone else was. Here's the part people miss about Epictetus's story. He wasn't calm because his circumstances were good. His circumstances were about as bad as they could get for a person in the ancient world. No freedom, no power, a broken body. His calm came entirely from where he placed his attention. He stopped fighting for control over his master, his body, his social standing, none of which were his to control anyway, and he placed everything he had into the one territory that was actually his judgments, his character, his responses. That's the real definition of freedom the Stoics were pointing to. Not the freedom to control your circumstances. Almost no one has that fully. But the freedom that comes from no longer wasting yourself on a battle you were never going to win in the first place. Marcus Aurelius had almost the opposite circumstances of Epictetus, total power, an empire at his command, and he arrived at the exact same conclusion. Because the dichotomy of control isn't about how much power you have, it's about where you choose to spend the energy you do have. This is also why the idea never gets old. No matter how many times you hear it, every single day hands you a fresh batch of things, trying to blur that line again. A delayed flight, a friend's silence, a decision at work you weren't part of. The line has to be redrawn constantly. That's not a sign you're doing it wrong, that's what the practice actually is. A slave and an emperor, separated by everything circumstance could separate two people and both of them landed on the same quiet truth. Peace doesn't come from controlling more of your life. It comes from stopping the fight over the part that was never yours to control and giving everything you have to the part that is. So the next time something outside your control starts to consume your thoughts, a decision someone else will make, an outcome you can't guarantee, an opinion you can't change, pause and ask the only question that actually matters. Is this up to me? If it is, act fully. If it isn't, set it down. Not because it doesn't matter, but because carrying it wasn't ever making you stronger. It was only making you tired.